week was a real short week for me. I was only able to get out for a couple hours. It was Saturday afternoon. On the really bright side of this, I got to an awesome location. I'm going to reveal the location at the end of this video. So, testing something out here. You'll have to wait till the end if you want to know where I was fishing this week. So let's talk a little bit about this fishing here. This particular location was real hard to wade. I tried just a little bit, but it was so sticky. I couldn't get anywhere near any of the fish, and I was spooking them. I think most people fish this place with a boat. The sup worked fantastic. I would take it over a boat here for sure. You can't cover as much water, but being able to get, if you notice here, I've got the sun at my back. What I was doing was I was working really in the really shallow stuff next to the bank. And that's where the fish were. But this being on a sup with a shallow water fin allowed me to really get in tight to the bank and still be able to have the sun behind me fishing out to the fish. That's a position we always want to be in if we can, because then we've got the sun behind us creating that glare on the water for the fish. So they're looking back into the sun. It's really difficult for them to see us when we have the sun behind us. This is pretty late in the evening. Only had a couple hours to fish. They were fantastic, a couple of hours. But part of the approach here was making sure I had the sun behind me. Again, not really wadeable. It was just too sticky. It's pretty low right now, this particular area. It might be more wadeable at different times of the year, or there may be different areas here that are wadeable, but I said I had a couple of hours and it definitely wasn't. So this is kind of what I was doing, right? Pulling up in the shallows, trying to stay inside the fish. Now, there was two different ways I was fishing for these fish. The first one was a drag and drop that it shows. And I don't have great footage here with the drone. As I've kind of explained before, sometimes it's hard when I'm trying to figure out a water. Like, when do I send the drone up? If there's a fish, if I think I can send the drone up once I spot the fish, I will. Sometimes I already have the drone up as I'm looking in an area because I think there's a fish in that area, and then I'll position it, and then I can fish. But that was hard here just because I didn't know. If I'd had more time, I think I could have got some better footage. But the fish were fantastic. So the one drag and drop worked really well. For sure, drag and drop. And in fact, all of them I did drag and drop on. But with kind of a variation. There was quite a few tailing fish in really muddy water. And the way you approach that type of situation when you've got, you got a fish there, you can see the tail, but that's really all you can see because it's too muddy. You need to be really close on where you drop that fly in. And something to keep in mind is, I still want to get to where I'm at least coming across the fish, right? I don't want the fish facing away from me in that situation. It's got to be either across, or even better if it's towards me. So when I cast and I drag that fly into place and I drop it, I'm basically dropping it and releasing it just as it passes, within a couple of inches of the tail, right? Because a lot of times you can see that tail just barely poking up. You pull that fly just past it on the angle the fish is, right? You kind of have to figure if the fish is going to your right or the fish is going to your left, right? You're trying to get it on that angle so you're in line with the fish. Then you release that fly and you let it flutter down. Give it a couple of seconds to let it sit there. Sometimes, they'll grab it and run. A lot of times it's going to be one of those where the carp's going to suck it in and mouth it a couple times. I don't want it to sit very long, so I kind of need to know how long it's going to take for my fly to get in front of the fish. And especially if you see that tail stop moving once you figure that's in the area, that's a pretty good signal that the fish is moving off to take the fly. At that point, I'm going to start giving it little strips. Just small strips, 1 inch, every second to half second, varying the speed just a little bit until I feel, something. Then I'm going to give it a good full strip set. And so it was either I was watching them eat it as it was falling, and it was pretty obvious on a drag and drop, or that was a situation that I used on 2 of the fish. Now, in the, probably 2.5 hours I was able to fish, I landed 4 fish that were over 20 pounds. And then you saw that one, the really bright colored golden. When I first looked at that, I thought that was a common, just because I'd caught a couple of these the darker, mirrors. But that was actually a full-scaled mirror. That's my favorite type of carp. So I didn't see any commons here. Just the mirrors, and then that full-scaled mirror, just an absolutely beautiful fish. That fish was about 15 pounds, the full-scaled mirror. So, you know, I actually ended up landing 4, like I said, mirrors over 20 pounds, and then that full-scaled mirror that was under 15. So, you know, in an hour, basically, or in 2.5 hours, one evening, I landed over 100 pounds of fish. So it's a great spot. It wasn't very clear. You could see the fish. Now, that's another reason why the sup was was a better way to go than waiting here for me, was because I could actually see the fish much better. You know, you were just seeing backs and stuff. And while I personally love sight fishing in the more clear areas, you look at these fish, just amazing. So the location, Blackfoot Reservoir. Thanks, everybody.